Hi guys, Gex Gamer here. In this video I want to give you some tips for maximizing Yelan as free to play. Yelan is 5-star unit with Hydrovision. She is a solid off-field DPS, even at Constellation 0. At higher Constellation, many that consider her to be broken unit. As you can see, many content of Yelan C6 doing solo run in Spiral Abyss 12. Also her usage rate in this current and previous Spiral Abyss is quite high. But the question is, can Yelan Constellation 0 with free-to-play weapon shine? Okay, let's go dive further.
Well, the waiting game is over.
Yelan is a bow user. Her ascension bonus is critical rate. This means you can build her more towards critical damage. When she use her elemental skill, she enters sprint mode. And when she hit the enemies, she will mark them. And as soon as she ended her sprint, all the enemies that has been marked will be received hydro damage. Now, this is her main damage source, her elemental burst. When using her burst, Yelan will summon a dice that follow your active character. This dice will shoot 3 hydro laser to the enemy every few interval when your active character do normal attack or charge attack along Yelan's burst duration. And also, do take note that Yelan elemental skill and burst are both scaling from her HP. Her first passive talent is, she gain HP increase whenever her team has different variation of element or vision up to 30%. And her second passive talent is, along with her elemental burst duration, any active character on field will have increased damage for every second they stay on the field from 1% to maximum 50% increase. Okay, now let's talk about her weapon choice. There's few option regarding free-to-play weapon for Yelan. Favonius Warbow, Sharpshooter Oath, Slingshot, Fading Twilight, and the Stringless. And I recommend the Favonius Warbow, because Yelan has high energy cost for her burst, so Favonius Warbow at least solve this problem. You can also use Fading Twilight, but its energy recharge stat is not as high as Favonius Warbow. Not to mention that this bow can only be acquired from limited time game event, so maybe for newest player this is not an option. Unlike Fading Twilight, you can acquire Favonius Warbow from early Archon quest, so it's safe to assume that everyone has it. If you are a new player, or you just started play this game, you can rely on this bow as a start, until you have a better ones. Do take a note, that most of Yelan damage source is scaling from her maximum HP, so, base attack or attack percentage stats value are not really important to her. Weapons that has substat like critical rate, critical damage and energy recharge, will have higher value for her. If you can manage to overcome her energy recharge issue without relying on weapon, you can use weapon with critical rate or critical damage, and also weapons that has passive ability that increase your elemental burst damage such as the Stringless. But remember that the Stringless is only obtainable from a banner pulls, so I'm not really sure to call this free to play weapon, although this weapon can be really strong for Yelan at high refinement level. The same also applied to the 5-star weapons. If you have a 5-star bow, you can use that instead, as long as that bow doesn't have attack percentage substat. And as for now, the only 5-star bow with attack substat is the Amos bow, so I'm not recommend that for Yelan. As for the rest of the 5-star bow, can be used on her. Of course, the Aqua Simulacra would be her best weapon in 5-star category. But Yelan can be strong enough without rely on 5-star weapon. Even using a 3-star weapon, as long as you build her right, she can be your great asset. Now, let's move on how we build her. As for Yelan's artifact, there's only one artifact set that can unleash her maximum potential. The Emblem of Severed Fate. This artifact 2 set bonus is increased energy recharge by 20%. It really helps Yelan with her burst energy cost. But the true value of this set lie in its 4 set bonus, which increased Yelan burst damage by 25% of her energy recharge. That means, if Yelan has 200% energy recharge, then her burst damage will be increased by 40%. Since Yelan's damage source are mainly from her burst, this artifact set really is the best for Yelan. But if you find it's difficult to obtain 4 set Emblem of Severed Fate, You can also use these artifact sets, although I'm not recommended it. You can combine these two set artifact bonus for Yelan, like Tenacity of Malelith, Noblesse Oblige and Heart of Death. I know that finding a good piece of Emblem of Severed Fate is hard. But remember, F2P honor and pride lies in our ability to grind. So, in order to reach Yelan's maximum potential, for Sand Piece you can use Energy Recharge or HP % Piece. Please take a note, if you are using Energy Recharge weapon, it's prefer that you are using the HP % Piece. And if you are using besides ER weapon, then use the Energy Recharge Sand Piece. This way your Yelan will be a versatile unit that can fit in any team comps. For the Goblet piece, Hydro Goblet is recommended, but if you happen to have a good HP % piece with good substat, and you don't have a Hydro Goblet that decent, you can use HP % piece instead. For the Circlet piece, it can be either critical rate or critical damage. It depends whether you need more critical damage or critical rate. If you happen to have more than 50% critical rate from your substat, then go for critical damage Circlet. And for the optimal artifact substats for Yelan are critical rate or damage, energy recharge, HP %, and HP flat. For the talent priority is, her burst is the most priority. You might want to crown her burst for optimal result, and follow up by her elemental skill. As for her normal attack talent is up to you whether you chose to increase it or not. If you have low resources problem, then I suggest that you leave the normal attack talent at level 1. Okay, now, let's talk about her team comps. This is the reason why Yelan is one of the highly valued unit. Her versatility to fit in almost every team comps in the game, and her being a Hydro unit, makes her a great asset for your account, especially if you want to conquer high-end content like Spiral Abyss. It's no longer a secret that Yelan has similar role as Xingqiu. Even her kit is almost identical with him. Some say that she's an upgraded Xingqiu, and having 2 Xingqiu in your account is a big benefit. As a Hydro enabler, having Yelan will make your journey in Tevat become easier. Okay, now, this is some of the team comp of Yelan. Vaporize team. This team main purpose is to utilize Vaporize reaction to deal damage. It's usually consist of combination of Pyro and Hydro unit. As Hydro enabler and an off-field DPS, Yelan value in this team is really high. Being able to constantly applying Hydro to the enemies will make your on-field Pyro DPS shine brighter. Like D-Luke, Hu Tao, Yanfei, and Yaimia, will be happy to have Yelan in their team. Next is the Freeze team. In this team comp, Yelan will act as Hydro enabler that constantly give Hydro aura to the enemies, so that they can be frozen when we hit them with cryo attack. This team purpose is to freeze the enemies, so we can attack them without worry. This team usually consists of Hydro, cryo and a Nemo unit. But take a note that some enemies cannot be frozen. Actually, in this team comp Yelan is not really high valued, since there's some Hydro unit that more suitable in this team such as Mono or Kokomi. But if you lack Hydro unit and you want to run this team, Yelan can be an option. The next one is Hyperbloom team. As with Dendro release into the game, Dendro related reaction has become a spotlight, and within Dendro reaction, the Hyperbloom reaction now is rising into the meta. This team consists of Hydro, Electro and Dendro unit. And Yelan value in this team is high. Yelan and Xingqiu considered the as best Hydro enabler in this team. The amount of their consistency applying Hydro to the enemies are on top of any Hydro unit. This team purpose is to deal damage from using Hyperbloom reaction. The Hyperbloom reaction is triggered when the Bloom seeds come into contact with Electro attack. Since Yelan is consistent in applying Hydro, even when she is not on the field, this will make this team become more convenient to play with her around. Okay, I think that's all I can say about Yelan. Thank you for watching, guys. I really hope that this guide helps you. And this is Gex Gamer signing out. If you like this video, please hit the like button, or subscribe to my channel. See you again guys in the next video.